otherwise known as T.R.A.G, Mission of Mercy, was released first in Japan on December 3rd, 1998, March 31st, 1999, and then finally in Europe on May the 20th of that same year. It was developed by the makers of Clock Tower, Sunsoft, and the European version I am playing was published by Infogrames. If I was to essentialize what this game was about, I would say it plays like Resident Evil and looks like Final Fantasy. The tank controls, fixed camera angles and Metroidvania style backtracking is all here, set against a backdrop of opulent architecture, soft magic and impossible hairstyles. Hard Edge is probably the most PS1 game imaginable and in many ways is a dream come true for me. By far and away, the best experiences I have had with any PS1 games have come from the classic RE trilogy. If you have seen other reviews of mine, you will know that I value presentation over gameplay, and though other PlayStation games control much better, none can touch Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3 in terms of its atmosphere and world building. Hard Edge copies the formula of close combat with tight arenas made up of nice looking pre-rendered stills. The difference being is that Hard Edge's combat is more melee focused and the environments are not as memorable as those in RE, but still have a character of their own nonetheless. If the likes of Bubblegum Crisis and Dominion Tank Police ever got a 3D game, it would probably look like this. In fact, Cyberpunk Resident Evil is probably a better summary of this game than what I came up with earlier. But I have to come back to those pre-rendered backgrounds as they are my biggest gripe with Hard Edge. Though, like I said, they all look like they could be backdrops for a late 90s cyberpunk anime, it's still a very generic looking skyscraper with minimal sci-fi elements. I know that navigation issues can raise the tension and this might be deliberate on the devs' part, but the Togusa building is at times a frustrating labyrinth due to how unintuitive its design is. I never got the feeling as I progressed upwards from story to story that I was still in the same building, not helped by some camera angles that do a bad job of illustrating a room's geometry. I mean, you have environmental storytelling in the documents you find scattered around the place. That's still here and it's very good, but despite the backgrounds looking really cool, they tell neither the story of who was there before or where you are going. The Resident Evil games emphasized both progression and foreshadowing with their locations, not to mention that they were very easy to navigate. Hard Edge doesn't achieve this with the Togusa building, and like me, you might find yourself very lost very quickly. I'll conclude by saying that Hard Edge has impeccable style, very Gucci, and copies the gameplay of Resident Evil really well in some places, and in some places doesn't. The ability to switch between 4 characters does make its combat more engaging and slightly less awkward than Resident Evil's, but Togusa is a far cry from Spencer, and navigation issues will kill the flow unless you plan on using playthroughs. I cannot emphasize, from the voice acting to the character designs to the funky music, how everything in Hard Edge comes together to create a great mood and is worth it enough to overcome the design flaws. To date, it is the closest you are going to get to being able to play through a late 90s cyberpunk anime, and if that sounds as good to you as it does to me, then I would recommend seeking this one out. Thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, and goodbye.